Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to call the Common Council to order this evening. I will ask the clerk to call the roll to determine the quorum.
Alderperson Chaplesky. Here. Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Reinke.
Here.
Rote. Here. Stefanski.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
That's 10 present.
A quorum is present. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderman Chaplesky. Before we dive in this morning, I just want to talk a little bit about the reason why I'm guessing 97% of you are here. There is an item on the agenda this evening regarding the senior center, and I got a number of phone calls and emails today from people saying that the mayor is closing down the senior center, and we are not voting on closing down the senior center this evening. We are entertaining a resolution put forth by the Common Council to study the services provided by the senior center, the structure of the senior center, and it's very parallel to the process that we do for every service that we provide. We have to look at if we are doing it in the most efficient way, in the most cost-effective way. There are a lot of looming costs with that building, so we are exploring what other communities are doing in their senior services, and we are exploring how we do our senior services, how we want to hear from the people that utilize these services, the people that have family members and neighbors that utilize these services. And I think it's premature to say that we are closing down the senior center come July, which seemed to be a theme that was prevalent today. I do want to offer anyone from the Common Council, if they so wish, to just offer a comment or two on the topic. Alderman
Mayor
Lysick.
Devine. I just want to let people know that there was a major misunderstanding in the resolution as it was presented on the agenda. It perhaps wasn't written as clearly.
Sir, you need to talk in the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Louder.
Is your mic on?
It appears as though the resolution that was presented to the council,
Louder. Can't hear you back here.
I don't know how good the sound system is. Is that better? Normally this is good enough. Apparently with all the people in the room today, it's a little bit different. The resolution that was presented to the council was perhaps not clear enough in the language of what the intent of staff was to get the council to explore this issue. The mayor has instituted a structural deficit committee because we are in difficult financial times in the city. And under his leadership, we are looking at every single department, not just the senior center, police department, IT department, finance, public works, fire, everyone right down the line, from the assessor's office, the attorney's office. Every one of the department heads has to come before the committee that the mayor has set up and present the plan to reduce their budgets by 3 to 5%. This is just an extension of that. It's to look at, are we providing efficient services, utilizing the building that we have? Understanding that the wording of the resolution was perhaps not clear enough to be understood, there is an alternative resolution, an amended resolution that Alderman May drafted this afternoon after we met with some of the people at the senior center. And I think most of you have a copy of that now. That is what will be discussed in the License and Health Committee meeting at recess.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Barzak.
I think a lot of the aldermen were caught off guard on this, and I made it pretty clear with some people that have emailed me that when this was on the agenda and then read through the actual language, caught totally off guard with no discussion, no history, whatever. So my understanding is that this is going to be held tonight. There's not going to be any action. There will be discussion at the committee meeting. but then it'll be held and sent over to committee for further study and review at that time. So I believe I'll ask the chairman, Mickey Chaplesky, if that is correct, that there'll be no action on it tonight?
It will not be voted on, we go to the poll.
Correct. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for hearing us out on that. We are going to now move on to item D on our agendas, which is public hearings. We have 4 items under public hearing this evening, and I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Resolution to confirm and adopt the report of the city engineer containing the schedule of proposed assessments for improvement of South Wilmer Road from West National Avenue to West Oklahoma Avenue by major asphalt resurfacing, miscellaneous sidewalk repair, miscellaneous driveway repair, storm sewer relay, sanitary sewer relay, water main relay, and utility adjustments.
Thank you. Mr. Daniels?
Thank you, Mayor Devine. Okay, this is the public hearing for Walmer Road. What's going on? Here we go. Here are the procedures for tonight. I'm going to discuss the project scope and the costs, and then we're going to discuss assessment rates, methods of payment, and there will be a time for comments and questions from council members and then from citizens affected. Then it will be referred to committee and may come back here later tonight for a final decision. Here's the section of road we're talking about from National to Oklahoma, this section of Volmer right here. This is what the road looks like right now. It was paved in 1977. It's 43 years old. There are a lot of potholes out there. Routine maintenance is extremely expensive to fill these potholes every year. The pavement joints have all deteriorated. So we are proposing to cover this concrete with fresh asphalt. So the project would include repairing some of the pavement that you saw where there were potholes, and then some of the curb that has potholes. Any of the sidewalk that's broken would be repaired. Then the whole concrete surface would be covered with a layer of asphalt as they're shown here in the picture. There would be some minor repairs to the utilities, and as I said, some sidewalk would be replaced. We will keep the traffic going in both directions. We'll do half the street at a time, and traffic will be on the other half so they can get into the bank and the Aurora and other businesses there. This is what the road will look like when it's done with a new black asphalt layer over the top of the concrete. Here are the costs of the project. The paving's $119,000, just some minor utility work for a total of $165,000. Here's where the funding is coming from. The utilities pay for each of their portion. So the sanitary work, it comes from the sanitary fund. The storm sewer comes from the storm fund. Very little water utility work. The general tax fund pays 34%, and then the special assessments will be paying 38%. The lots out there on this particular street are very large, and they're commercial properties. So this is a typical 300-foot lot. The assessment rate is $64.81 per foot. That's the commercial rate. So it's a very large bill of $19,000. The bills would not be mailed out until March of 2021. At that point, there would be payment options. You could pay it all in lump sum, or a 5-year installment, or a 10-year installment plan. So if you were on the 10-year payment plan, the first year would be $2,722, and the 10th year would be $2,022. So why do we special assess? Well, for over 110 years, the city has special assessed, and in the old days, if you go way back, the residents actually were paying 100% of the cost of the street. And these days, that due to inflation, the cost is now down to about 38% of the total cost. So in this case, we're collecting $63,000 from those large commercial properties there. The assessment rate is $64.81 per foot. For any commercial property, that's not just for this job. Anywhere in the city, they all pay $64.81. Doesn't matter how high the traffic volumes are, or how wide the street is, or where the street is, everyone pays the same rate. Wisconsin has allowed special assessments for over 110 years. There have been over 100 court cases that I'm aware of where the judge has ruled that this is a reasonable method to recoup the cost of the project. Another reason we special assessed is it's the only way to ensure that tax-exempt schools, churches, charities, hospitals, county parks, utilities, and railroads pay their fair share too. No one is exempt from special assessments, even though there are 430 properties in the city that do not pay any property taxes. And many of these tax-exempt schools, churches, hospitals, and county parks are very large properties that actually encompass 28% of the total city area. So this is the only way they contribute to the cost of streets, is through this special assessment. This map highlights what I just said. These colored parcels are all the tax-exempt parcels in the city. There's 430 of them, and they all would be paying special assessments, even though they do not send any tax money to the city. This map shows all the parcels that have paid a special assessment in the last 10 years. You can see that at least on the east side that almost everyone has paid for their street or alley in the last 10 years. So reinforcing that everyone is paying their fair share, everyone is paying the same when we do the street in front of their house. Why do we charge interest? Well, we do borrow the funds for this project, so the city is actually paying these bondholders interest over the next 10 years. So the city would be merely passing this interest on to the residents that choose the 5 or 10-year plan. The city does not make a profit off of the interest charged. Here's a tentative schedule for the project. We're planning to start advertising for bids in May and opening the bids in May. Coincidentally, at the same time, the Waukesha water pipeline will be going down Oklahoma Avenue, so we're going to try and stagger it so that we're not all working in the same place at the same time. But then the council would hopefully award the project in June. We would begin work in June and hopefully be done. This is going to be combined with Cleveland Avenue from 72nd to 76th Street, which we had a hearing for last year. The two projects will be going on over the summer and will be done hopefully by September of 2020. And if you want any up-to-date information on any project, on this project or any project, you can always subscribe to the Construction in Progress report from our website. It's halfway down the list, and that would get you weekly or even more frequent email updates of what projects are going on all around the city. So with that, I will entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Are there any questions from the members, from the Common Council on public hearing number 1? Seeing none, are there any questions or comments from the members of the audience on public hearing number 1? Please come up to the podium and give us your...
I think I can speak louder.
No, I need you on our microphones for the record, sir, because we're recording this live. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Ken Feige. I'm a resident of West Dallas, and I have a question. You mentioned municipal bonds. Do those come directly from West Dallas selling bonds? Or where does that municipal money come from outside agents?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not, our finance director would know more, and we could maybe talk to her in the hallway after this, but yeah.
And so we don't know right now if West Dallas can put forth their own bonds.
Let's talk afterwards,
Okay.
and I'll get you an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I know some people had signed in to speak, and I do see Kevin Nitka on the list here. Do you wish to speak?
Hi, as mentioned earlier, my name is Kevin Nitka. I'm president of Guardian Credit Union. We actually are impacted by this project. I appreciate the good information that we got earlier. So I guess my only question is, and I gathered that as far as the disruption to our business, because we do have a very large amount of transactions that happen on that office that we own on 112th and Oklahoma, which is right by the Walmart entrance. That's where the majority of our traffic comes in, not only from our employees, but also from our members and our customers. I guess I just want some assurances as best as possible that those disruptions will be
Right.
kept to a
We'll
minimum.
work on half the street at a time. The other half will be open. There won't be any parking on the street so that we can have all the traffic on one side and then shift all the traffic to the other side. You'll be able to get into your driveway, all except, maybe a few minutes when the paver goes by, like in the picture. There might be a disruption of less than an hour, but otherwise, yes, we'll keep you open for business.
Okay.
We're
right.
just covering the whole road with a layer of asphalt. Should be pretty quick.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the audience on public hearing number 1? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and I will ask the clerk to read our second public hearing this evening.
Resolution relative to determination of special use permit for 2011 massage. Massage business to be located at 735 South 108th.
Mr. Scher, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council. The second through the fourth hearing tonight will begin now. The second hearing tonight is for a special use permit for a 211 massage business at 735 South 108th Street. This is a former retail location within a 9,000 square foot building, about a half-acre site on 108th, just south of Theo Trekker Way and between and north of Walker Street. The proposed use is a massage therapy business offering Oriental Bodywork, Swedish deep tissue reflexology, and other body work. The hours of operation are daily, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Massage therapy is considered a special use, and the council changed that and made the exercise a little bit more local control back in 2017, and went from a permitted use to a special use. Furthermore, the state legislature also gave cities a bit more local control in terms of regulating the use. So that's the purpose for this public hearing tonight. The property is, or the tenant space rather, is situated on the north end of the existing building. And there are a total of 6 parking stalls required for the use. There's 24 available on site. The tenant space is roughly 1,700 square feet in area, and being a former retail space, it's going to be remodeled for the proposed business. As you can see, there's going to be a total of 4 rooms, a common area, a reception and lobby area, a new bathroom, and as well as a new entry and foyer area off of Highway 100. The four rooms will be serviced by roughly about 3 employees. Each of the employees that will be working here will be licensed through the state. This item has gone before Plan Commission on January 22nd. Plan Commission recommended approval subject to some basic site considerations. Should also note that the site is currently landscaped. It doesn't necessarily look like this now, but in the springtime and summer months, it is quite extensively landscaped along Highway 100. In fact, I believe the property owner has been awarded a beautification award as a commercial property owner in the city. We've received 1 objection to date concerning just generally illicit practices of other massage businesses throughout the area, metro area, but otherwise staff is recommending approval, and as has the Plan Commission on January 22nd. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Scher. Are there any questions or comments from the members of the Common Council on public hearing number 2?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman May?
the last couple of years, the police chief and I have spent considerable amount of time with Representative Sanfilippo, Senator Kuyenga, Legislative Reference Bureau, our own city attorney to get laws changed to give more control over these types of businesses in our city. And we've been successful so far, which is great. But we have been bitten in the past by 2 previous operators who were operating houses of ill repute, let's put it that way. I want to make sure this is not going to happen here. And there's some things that I noticed in those other locations that I think if we can incorporate them into the plan here may help us avoid it. And so I would like to see in the plan, and I'm sure this can be discussed at the committee level, I'm not on that committee, but video cameras in the lobby, not obviously in the private rooms. I'd like to see a record kept of all customer names I want the owner to keep that. A limit on the duration of the special use should the occupant leave. I'd like to see a signage plan. What we noticed in these other ones is they would take those cheap little 2-inch letters, 3-inch letters you buy at the home improvement stores and stick them on the doors, and that was all their signage. So whatever signage they have, I want to make sure it is approved through staff, and it's not those little stickers. Something we do on some of our liquor stores and stuff is we require so much of the windows to not be covered. And what I mean by that is in the lobby areas, the doors, these other locations, there would be plastic sheets over the windows or posters and things. I don't want to see that at this location. And one other thing is backdoor entrances. I want no use of backdoor entrances at this facility by any customers. So if we can make sure these things are included in the special use permit, it would go a long way. Thanks.
Noted. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the council?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Barzak?
just to back on to what Alderman May was saying is we had brief discussion, and I agree totally with everything that he said. And our brief discussion said in a liquor store, it's the opposite. They want to put signs up, they want to have displays, so we limit them to covering 50% of the windows, and they got to have 50% exposure. And I think we can do the same thing, I believe, in the special use, require the same thing, that at least 50% exposure at all times to be able to see in, et cetera, and for people to see out. Everything else, I do sit on that committee, and tonight I'll be bringing those things up, and hopefully we can get that into the special use, that language in. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions or comments from the Common Council?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Vitale.
Yeah, based on the discussions about this special use, I wonder, do we put a more leaner ruling on the fact that if the applicant is come from different locations, records, I mean, the type of operation he done in other communities, or they just new on the business if they come into our community? So it would be something could be probably enclosed to the resolution, if it would be possible, to look in more the records of the individual, who's going to be the manager, who's the owner, where they're come from, where they did operate business previously before they came to West Allis. So before we can more or less approving the special use. So to me, it's something that, because we did incur with few of them some major concern for the city, So we did incur a problem within our communities based on the previous owner of those businesses. So that's one thing we should be more stricter about it, find out where those people are coming from. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Reinke.
I'll start out by saying we just completed the West Allis Highway 100 corridor plan. It's very inclusive, a very good plan for our community, and we look forward to adhering to this plan. Many suggestions are made in this plan. One being that we position ourselves to higher and better use. I'm wondering basically if this meets the criteria of that. We currently have 8 to 10 massage parlors in our city right now. I do have questions I also agree with the aldermen that have spoken. They have indicated suggestions by our city attorney that we consider. I also would like us to revisit yearly the lease or the special use permit that if we grant them for our city's protection. I have several questions regarding this special use. Does this owner or this person that's in charge of this massage parlor have any previous communities that they have located in?
Alderman Reinke,
I'm
to my knowledge,
interested in
no.
their background,
Okay.
obviously.
Right. To my knowledge, no, this is their first business within, within West Allis and certainly within the profession, within the industry. The proposed use is roughly, 1,700 square feet. All the masseuses would be licensed through the state. Our police department has performed a background check
Okay.
on the applicant, and no prior, criminal record or anything to be noted.
That's
to the
encouraging.
council. So
All right. Also, does the owner or the person that's running the business, do they live in our community?
I don't believe so. I'd have to check the application, but I believe they're outside of West Allis.
Okay. That's kind of important also. But also important are the stipulations, I think, that we have indicated we would like in the special use permit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the Common Council on public hearing number 2? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 2?
Hello, I'm Dana Keen, 1483 South 90th Street. I definitely support new businesses coming in, but one thing that I was questioning is the hours of operation being open till 10 p.m. Are currently the other massage parlors in West Allis open until 10 p.m.? I guess I'm not really understanding what's the need for late hours considering what's been followed up with the last 2 massage parlors. So I didn't know if that's kind of what the other massage parlors were operating at.
Yeah, I mean, the hours, I don't think it's out of the wheelhouse, I guess, of other operations within the city or other businesses within the city. I think they're just looking at having a general set of hours, as stated here, to accommodate a different range of schedules that people have these days, first shift, second shifters, accommodating, making the most of their success of their business.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Does anybody else have comments or questions on public hearing? You can start walking up if you want.
Hi, Susie Metzenheim. I live in the neighborhood that this particular massage, what do you call it? Parlor is going to be, as well as the next resolution that's about to come in forth of the committee. So they're sandwiched in between my house off of Highway 100. One is, they're within a mile of each other on the odd side of the street. And in the middle of that is Lane Intermediate School and a bunch of neighborhoods. So I know we just closed one down on 113th is where I live around. And I do have some concerns. I do support local businesses. But in all honesty, with the renovation of Highway 100 and trying to upgrade our neighborhoods for bringing people in and businesses in, do we really need to see massage parlors all the way down Highway 100? So I would appreciate your consideration in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is John Leonardelli. I live right around the corner from this location. I was just piggybacking on the lady that just commented here. I actually wrote down all the massage parlors along Highway 100. There are 2 in Wauwatosa in a 3.6 mile stretch, and I know we're not in Wauwatosa, but you got to look at the big picture here. Right now, there are 3 along Highway 100 in West Dallas, and this particular location, there's another location. The next location is called Massage 108, and that's 1.1 miles from this location. And then they're proposing on the next proposal that we're going to be talking about, the one on 1405 South 108th, and that's 0.1 miles from the 108 massage. And then there's a health massage 2 miles down, and 0.5 miles Elements massage. I don't think, I wrote down the distance for all the West Dallas massage parlors that were, the new ones that are proposed and the ones that are there. In a 3.7 mile stretch, we would have 5. I think that might be a little bit too much. 3.7 miles, 5 massage parlors along Highway 100 in West Dallas. If you consider the Tosa ones in a 7.3 mile stretch, we would have 7. That's my comment. I just want you to think about the big picture here, what we're sending out to people in the area and in public at large, what West Dallas is about.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the audience?
Hi there, my name is Rachel Sawyer. From my understanding, we probably don't.
Sorry,
need
Ms.
another-
Sawyer, can we have your address too, please?
What's that?
Can we have your address too, please?
910 South 111th Place. Yep. I agree, we probably don't need another massage parlor. However, I believe that this building houses many different businesses. I'm not positive about that. I don't know if you can clarify that. So.
It's a multi-tenant commercial building.
Okay, so basically, people who conduct different services like hair dyeing, hair cutting, like all those different things are housed in that building. So unless that business is on the window side or whatever, I don't think you can even, they don't even put stuff in the windows, because it's, if you drive past, since I live in the neighborhood, if it's dark, you can see the lights on and you can see a hall. And then it looks like the businesses are, off to the side. So while, yes, we probably don't need another massage parlor, I'm not sure the concerns are valid, if that makes sense. So it's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. I also just want to remind people to sign in as well as giving us your name and address, please.
Good evening, Suzette Grisham, 9415 West Lapham Street. As a resident in District 3 and also as a business owner in the city, I am a big supporter of small business. And I realize that there's a lot of concern kind of coupled with the fact that we had issue with massage parlors in the past. I think everyone up here gave very good valid points. The last statement specifically with it being Making Waves, there are multiple businesses housed in this facility. If it were something that was more private, I would be more concerned. Although with what Alderman Ranke had said too about the vision for Highway 100, I agree we're looking for more unique businesses to come into the city, but I think we also need to look at being a bit more all-inclusive. I think if we put parameters such as what Alderman May and Barzak have proposed to stipulations, and also I think it is a really good idea to follow up on that use permit annually to see how they are, how they're doing in the area. Because as a small business owner, it is very competitive. I have a hair salon. There's hundreds of hair salons. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't be able to open a hair salon here. That's just part of doing business. Hopefully they'll be successful. Hopefully it will be a welcome addition to the community. But I wanted to kind of piggyback what Dana said as well. The hours would concern me, but as a business owner, I'm open till 9, and that does kind of curtail to my clientele and their needs. However, if that is a consideration and could be placed in there, do we have a right to limit hours of operation per se? And that could be looked at if that is a concern. So overall, I think that you have a reputable business possibly coming into the area, but we have scars from what had happened in past, and we just need to be more aware of that and keep our eyes on it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have comments or questions on public hearing number 2?
Hi, my name is Katie Clayton, and I'm actually the building manager on this property. I don't live in West Dallas, but I do manage the property. Is that okay if I continue?
Yeah, if you could just give us your address and then if you want to
40
use the building address, that's fine, and then remember to sign in.
Okay, 801 South 108th Street. I understand that there's skepticism. I mean, I was skeptical when these tenants were brought to us. This is not actually the first massage tenants that were brought to us. The first set, I didn't like. I checked them out. I did not like them. I did not like their website. I didn't take them. I said, I don't want you in my building. I want my building to be clean and there to be no problems. As a building manager, I don't want to be getting calls from neighboring tenants. I just want it to be peaceful. And so I understand the skepticism, but I have checked these guys out and I have made this lease so tight that if there is anything that I don't like, I can make them leave. I can go in whenever I want, I can inspect whenever I want, and if there is anything that is suspicious to me, I can make them leave. And they are okay with that because they are going to have a reputable business.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions on public hearing number 2? Seeing none, we will close our second public hearing, and we will move on to public hearing number 3, which...
Mr. Chair, we received word today that the applicant withdrew.
Okay. The applicant has withdrawn their special use request, so we will not have our third public hearing. And we will move on to public hearing number 4.
Thank you, Mayor. Our
I'm gonna read
fourth...
it out. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Steve Bratz can, clerk can read it out first.
Sorry.
One Steve at a time.
One Steve at a time.
Resolution relative to determination of special use permit for State Fair Liquor, an existing grocery and liquor store located at 1568 South 81st Street, proposing to relocate within a commercial portion of the mixed-use building at 2248 South 108th Street.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next item here is for the State Fair Liquor. They're relocating from 81st Street to Highway 100. They like the visibility of Highway 100 and the traffic volumes, and they found a new location. If you may recall, if you've been here a while, the former Marinello's hair salon, the ground floor commercial lease space, which is about 2,600 square feet. The building is mixed use. The upper floors of this building consist of 4 one-bedroom apartments, and the property is located along the Highway 100 corridor in an area zoned commercial, C4 regional commercial. It's one of the more intensive commercial zoning districts within the city. And the reason why a convenience store is coming before us for a public hearing is because they've chosen that they want to have alcohol beverage sales, including beer, wine, liquor, and they'd be transferring their existing license from 81st Street location to Highway 100. And the transfer of that license, whether it's a new license or a transfer of license, does trigger a special use before the City Council. So that's why we're here tonight with this one. They're proposing to sell everything from food, some grocery items, household items, alcohol beverage sales, and they choose to be open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. They would be in compliance with the state laws as well as far as selling alcohol beverages. The overall context of the area, again, is commercial in nature, the land use, the zoning. Surrounding uses, just looking between Grant and Lincoln Avenue on the east side of Highway 100, include a mix of office space just immediately north, as well as another multi-tenant commercial retail center up further north on Grant Street. On the very southern corner, southwest corner of Lincoln and Highway 100 is a retail, like a dry cleaner. And again, the subject property is mixed use, and the ground floor space would be utilized for the proposed floor plan that you see here, which is conceptual, but has been submitted by the applicant, which would include, again, the green areas are shown as grocery items. This is the Highway 100 frontage here. There's a front yard, and then the storefront, the sales counter, grocery shelving, liquor shelving of packaged goods. And then there'd be two cooler areas, as shown in blue here, one along the east wall, one along the north wall of the building. Soft drinks, cold beer, and so on. The two boxes here are staircases to the either basement or second floor, and there would also be an ATM inside. There are two entrances, one the front door, as well as a new side door, updated side door on the side of the building that would be added, and most accessible from the parking lot along the south side of the property. Looking closer at the existing site, this is an aerial view. Looking down at the property, Highway 100 is on your left. And the Plan Commission had, this had come before the Plan Commission back on January 22nd, and there were a number of recommendations that the Plan Commission advised the applicant at that meeting that they'd like to see submitted for some further detail in terms of improvements of this site, which would include an updated site and landscaping plan to include new additional, cutting in an additional landscape area along the south side of the property with bookend landscape islands on the west and east sides of the property. The red dot here is a Plan Commission wanted to see where the refuse location, the dumpster would be located, and they'd want that properly screened from view within a four-sided enclosure. Additional parking details and drainage would also need to be shown on the site to show the exact number of parking stalls. Just based on the aerial imagery itself, you can park roughly about 18 plus vehicles here. With the updated site plan and the incorporation of landscaping, we would expect the site to support at least 15 to 16 parking stalls, including an ADA parking stall. And that's would be inclusive to provide enough parking for both the residents upstairs as well as the commercial use downstairs. And then architectural exterior elevations are being recommended by the Plan Commission just to show the new doors being added on the south side of the building. This is a street level view of where Plan Commission wanted to see additional landscaping. There's already a start to some green space along the south side of the property between the dry cleaner and the existing building that could be enhanced with some additional, eliminating that first striped space, installing a larger landscaping bed, incorporating perennial landscaping, perhaps some small ornamental trees, and then the new door location on the south side of the building being shown in red. So Plan Commission has recommended approval last month, and there has been at least one written objection that we've received from a property owner within the area along 107th Street, which is immediately east of the alley, and the concern is related to traffic and speeding through the potential speeding and just traffic increases through the alley. With that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Scher. Are there questions or comments from the members of the Common Council on public hearing number 4?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, I just have a couple questions and a comment. So this is going to be a tenant? This isn't a property owner buying the building?
That's correct, Alderman. Currently, the person that's applying is going to lease the property. They have the intent to purchase it at some point, but that's down the road. They want to see if it's successful, they'll purchase it.
Okay. And remind me, it seems to me that about a year ago, we approved the transfer of the State Fair liquor license to 92nd and Lincoln that was supposed to be effective last July 1st, but that did not happen?
That's correct. Yeah, the business deal between the tenant and the landlord fell through and didn't happen. Didn't go forward.
Do we know that the property owner at their current location have we heard from them? Do they have any plans? Do they know, they obviously know this is happening, I assume, right? Or
Yeah.
proposed?
It's a newer property owner. They purchased the property in 2018, and they're looking for a ground floor lease. The hair salon has been gone for some time, and they're looking to fill that space. The State Fair Liquor has expressed an interest and has been looking for some time, focused on this site. And apparently the owner is obviously willing to lease and with perhaps an option to buy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman May.
excuse me. Can you show the signage plan?
No signage plan has been submitted as of yet, but the expectation would be it would need to meet the city's signage ordinance.
Thanks.
Any other questions from the council?
Mayor Devine?
Alderperson Ranky.
I received an email, it sounds like from this same person, that indicating an objection. He did indicate that he was concerned with the clientele that would be frequenting this business, detrimental to the neighborhood. There's a residential area immediately behind this business. I would probably want stipulations regarding delivery times, because he was concerned about the delivery being all hours of the early morning. And he also was concerned about entering and exiting with the large trucks in the alley, blocking the alleyway. Again, they were traffic concerns within the alley. So I would think that at committee level, we could talk about stipulations that we put in the special use permit, if we could.
Thank you. Any other comments from the Alder people? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that has comments or questions on public hearing number 4?
Thank you for taking time with me. My name is Greg Smith. I'm at 2115 South 80th. I've been with the owner of State Fair Liquor at 1568 South 81st Street he's had it for over 2 years. We have had no problems with the neighborhood. We have had no problems with the West Dallas Police Department. We run a very good business. And if there's anything that we can do to help the community, like such thing as deliveries and stuff like that, we'd be more than glad to work with it. We are just trying to better ourselves, and we were doing really well over at 1568 South 81st Street, but the business needs to grow. And this would be a perfect opportunity for us to grow our business. I would appreciate any positive attitudes you people have, that we can do and work with. I'd be more than happy to do anything we can to make this move on. So I appreciate it, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Stacy Presley, 2239 South 107th. My husband has the lovely view when he does the dishes every night of this building. I MapQuested from my address. There are 16 liquor stores within 5 miles of my address. So that means, give or take 6 feet, it takes me to walk from my garage to the back door of this place. There are 16 liquor stores. That is not including Target, Pick and Save, Piggly Wiggly's, Aldi's, any gas station that you can buy alcohol from, Lynch's that is on the corner that already has patrons that are drunk walking down our street at night. Okay? So what you could say to me is, well, call the police if there's a problem. We have called the police if there's a problem. They use 107th Street as a quick way to beat the lights. They use the alley as a quick way to beat the lights. I apologize, but I have children that are 10 and 11 that we don't have sidewalks. The alley is where they ride their bikes, where everyone rode their bikes growing up. We have kids that are in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, high schoolers. That's where they hang out. We have our garage doors open and let the kids play with chalk. How are we supposed to have our kids with no sidewalks? They can't play in the streets. They can't run across the lawn because there's neighbors that don't want the kids in their lawn. And now you're gonna put in another liquor store. West Allis is already known for having too many liquor stores, too many bars. Where do you think the nickname Dirty Sallis came from? I thought we were trying to get away from that image, and you're gonna let another store come in. I don't care if they've already have a department. I thought we were walking away from things like that. I am begging you as a mother, we have semis back in to get to the carpet place, to get to the nail salon. You're not gonna stop people from coming in 15 minutes before close to get that last case of beer. They already use our alleyway to get through. You look at that, their way to leave is through our backyard where my kids play. 9 o'clock at night is still light out. It's still summertime. I need people to understand this is a safety risk. I have drunk people leave lynches, leave garbage, leave food on my front lawn. I don't know what else to tell you. I have called the police on this matter. They're not gonna do anything. I'm begging you not to let this happen.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions on public hearing number 4?
Good evening. My name is Len Copit. I live at 2229 South 107th Street. I've lived in that house for going to be 28 years this year. Seen a lot of things come into the neighborhood. Seen that we have a realty company, Stefaniak, which are good neighbors. We have the law firm, which is actually right behind my home, which are great neighbors. We had Hunt's Carpeting down on the north end, along with a nail salon, and I think we have a finance company there. Marinello's was great. It was a good business. I think that building is perfect for an office, financial institution, even another hair salon. But quite honestly, I would be against having a liquor store or convenience store in that spot. I worry about the traffic. If you look at the picture, you can go in that driveway and they're parking slanted. Where are they going to come out? That means they're going to have to go through that alleyway. Okay, yeah, it's a large alley. We take a lot of pride in our alley. We keep it clean. We shovel the alley. We snow blow the alley in the winter. We help the neighbors out. We do have children that are in the neighborhood that do ride their bikes. And like the last neighbor said, you know, some of us don't always appreciate people running in our yards. We don't appreciate, you know, garbage. We do have lynches, but I don't have all that many problems with lynches. I actually have a beer there once in a while. But to see convenience liquor store, I do have a lot of concerns about deliveries, the hours. Right now, it's been great because a lot of those businesses close at 5 o'clock, and on a Saturday or Sunday, it's nice to sit in your backyard, maybe have a little bonfire and have a soda or a beer and a cigar and not have to worry about all that traffic coming down the alley, okay? I am against it. I've sent my letters out with my concerns to everyone that I felt could hear my piece, but I am, again, I don't think it's the proper place for that to be. If you look at the traffic pattern, you look at how semis are going to have to get in there to do deliveries. We all know that there's beer trucks constantly to get in there. I'm against it, so thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the audience on public hearing number 4?
Good evening. I'm Peter Stefaniak. I own the real estate business right next door. I am concerned that it's not going to be an owner-occupied business. I'm concerned for a lot of reasons. I'm also concerned, like Mr. Colpitz said, because of the traffic flow, and there are a lot of kids during the summer that play in the alley. We see it all the time. I'm concerned about delivery trucks. I'm concerned about delivery trucks parking in the back and then nobody being able to park there, and so people use my parking spaces. So because of the fact that it's not owner occupied also, I would have to say I'm against it. So thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have comments or questions?
My name is Roseanne Copit, and I live in the same house, 2229 South 108th Street. So we're kind of kitty corner from that building. I'm against it. There's a high school right there, and we have an elementary school not too far from there, and kids play in that alley. And I'm afraid that it will become a hangout for Nathan Hale High School. That's my only comment.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have comments or questions on public hearing number 4?
Hi, this is Paul Reddy Ganta, lives in New Berlin. Moving the liquor store, that is up to, the safety is important, up to you guys, that is. But as a owner, the State Fair liquor owner, I know him past 10 plus years, I can say. He's a good service, good community serviceman. And if we help him to grow his business, he will do more for community to help. And not only see the liquor, he's also looking to sell the grocery. So that will help to community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Hi, my name is Tabitha Andre. I'm at 2230 South 108th Street, so just 2 buildings down from the proposed liquor store. I am against it along with the other neighbors for the same reasons. Children playing in the alley, traffic flow, with the trucks that already come in with the north and south end. Sometimes it's hard to get in and out of the alley, to leave, get to work on time. In addition, with the drunk people loitering in the alley, I've already come out to my parking lot to have people loitering there. Police have come by, asked my fiance about people coming through the alley that they are looking for, so just concerns for safety of the neighborhood.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions on public hearing number 4? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 4, and we will move on to, excuse me. We will move on to item E, which is citizen participation. The Common Council may receive information from members of the public during this 30-minute period. Each speaker must announce to the council his or her name and address and sign in at the podium and limit the comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes, being that there are a lot of you here this evening and there might be more than a half dozen of you that would like to address the council. I will ask you, if possible, to stay under the 5-minute time limit to give more people time to speak. I'm also not opposed to letting things go somewhat over the 30-minute period. We can't take action on topics raised by the speakers. This is a time to listen, not to discuss. And we do ask, one of my jobs as chair is to preserve decorum in the room, so please don't applaud or clap, even though you might hear some very awesome comments from your neighbors. It'll be the same format. We're going to ask you to approach the podium, give us your name and your address, and please sign in either before or after your comments. Some people have signed up in advance, and I'm going to start by calling them up. We have quite a few, so I'm hoping we can be as efficient as possible. And if something that you wanted to say has already been said, we ask that we don't have several people coming up to say the same thing. I think it's safe to say that a strong majority of you are here because you're concerned about the future of the senior center. And I think that I can safely speak for the council on that, the fact that you're all here on this cold evening speaks volumes. So we will start out, the first person signed up is Mark Teagues.
Mark Teagues, a 32-year resident at 2521 South 98th Street, and also a member of the Senior Center. I'd like to just give a little background. I know that we've already touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to go ahead and for the benefit of the people here in the audience is to go ahead and identify how this really came about. The Common Council introduced a new license and Health Committee Resolution R 2020-0100 that directs the staff to relocate and consolidate the operations of the senior center by working with community partners. The resolution defines that such work with community partners would provide the ability to continue service to existing members with existing senior staff and possibly relocation of staff to other locations in the city and reduction of staff through attrition. Basically, those words is what really kind of set the Commission on Aging off into the fifth dimension here, and we wanted to go ahead and take some action. So the Commission on Aging consists really of, for those that you don't know, consists of volunteers appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the Common Council to oversee the internal operations and programs of the senior center. The resolution was conceived and drafted without any communication with the commission, and that's where we really got a burr up our butt. And commissioners interpreted and perceived the resolution as a reality that the Common Council intends to basically close the senior center. So it was our conception, and it turns into reality because that's what we believed was it. So acting on the interest of the senior center, the commission issued a press release to bring attention to the perceived closing. As a member of the senior center, I stand before the Common Council identifying that the senior center members and the commission want to work with the Common Council to transcend the communication gap and clear the air and the misconceptions. So we're not here as an adversary, we're here as a working member with you guys. We've had 2 days of television interviews and visits by the senior center, and obviously the overwhelming amount of people here kind of show our interest, which has already been identified by the mayor. Today, the senior center was visited by 4 council members: Tom Luzak, Mike May, Dan Roth, and Marty Wagle. And I was privileged to participate in a meeting with Tom and Mike with the commissioners. And during the meeting, Tom identified that the city's shortfall and need to reduce expenses by 5%. And also, we need to cover about $90,000 a year in renovation costs for the senior center. We understand that's a requirement, and we have to go ahead and address that somehow. So during the meeting, Tom stated that the commission's perception of the resolution was not correct, and the Common Council has no intention of eliminating the senior center services. And I appreciate, the mayor obviously reaffirming that. What we're really looking for here is the commission to understand the city's financial position and the aldermen understand the perception of the resolution. So Tom and Mike agreed to revisit the wording of the resolution and redraft appropriate language, which they did. I appreciate that. I received that here. As I look at that, I think there's a few things that need to be identified. One is that in the second whereas, we identify that there's 15 senior living facilities also provide services to West Dallas seniors, but it's actually individual. None of the those facilities have all of the same services that the senior center provides. So they're kind of scattered all over as far as what they can provide. It's not in one facility. The other area is in the second to last whereas, working with the community partners, and I think we should add, and the Commission on Aging. We need to go ahead and bring them into this because they are really the people that are kind of overseeing this. And in the last statement, it should be reading, therefore, be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of West Dallas directs staff to prepare a plan for the future of the West Dallas Senior Center by July 1st, 2000 by working with community partners, and I request and add the Commission on Aging. Again, I think they have a firm, very understanding of what has to be done on it. The only other thing I wanted to add is the renovation cost to go ahead and redo and bring the senior center up to speed. That is actually the second lowest in the 5 major office buildings in the city.
30 seconds left.
Pardon?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay. And it is actually, it is the lowest amount of cost to go ahead and rebuild any of those particular facilities.
Thank you for your comments. Next up, we have Carol Graham. Mark, you're signed in already on here, so you're fine.
Carol Graham, 1808 South 63rd Street. Mr. Mayor, council members, I've been at the senior center for a lot of years. It's not just a center, it's a family. We all have our own little niches that make us feel important. And at our ages, having some place to go where you're somebody. Oh, you're in charge of this, or you're in charge of that. And we make new friends. We lose our friends there and we mourn them. We do lunches and we have a good time. We do stock boxes the second Tuesday of every month, which helps low-income seniors survive till the next month. I'm in charge of the door. I know everybody that comes through that back door, and if I don't know them, they ain't coming in. Right? And we have parties for the volunteers, for thank yous. For us, that's a big deal. We get dressed up, we put on our makeup, we do our hair. I mean, it's a day out. And I know that the majority of you are all invited. How many of you have actually come to the volunteer party or the Christmas party? For Veterans Day, we hand out punch and cookies to thank our gentlemen who served our country, and ladies, I must add, who served our country. For us, it's a big thing. We're excited about doing this for these people. And you people are thinking of taking this away from us? How much time do we have left to enjoy life? That is part of our lives. Thank you, and you have a good evening.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we all love Carol, but I'm going to remind you once again to please not demonstrate. We affectionately call her the Baroness of Burnham Street. Next up, we have Mary Devitt.
Hello. My name is Mary Devitt. I put a different community on as my address, but I've been a member of the West Allis Senior Center for 5 years. So as permitted by another, someone who was up here earlier, if I could say that the address is 7001 West National, okay? One of the things that I'd like to, Carol is a hard act to follow, I will say that. However, she touched on the lighter side of the senior center. And one of the things that I would like to remind this council of is that at the senior center, we are also in the front line to avert crises with our seniors. We have, in the past, and I know that many of our members know this, but we've dealt with homelessness. We deal with people who are in real need of food assistance. We offer durable equipment, medical equipment to our seniors, as well as supplies such as undergarments. Some seniors come to us with severe, life-threatening depression, which is often recognized by their fellow members. And we know for a fact that we have averted crises with many individuals who are depressed. We also deal with seniors who are in danger of abuse, either self-abuse or abuse from a partner, or perhaps even a relative, which is very sad for us. I myself came to the Senior Center 5 years ago through Interfaith. And as Interfaith placed me as a senior ambassador at the West Allis Senior Center. And I don't think I was very, very happy about that placement when I initially heard about it, because I wanted to be on a different side of town. However, the welcome that I got from the members there and the staff and the support I received from everyone was heartwarming to me. So some of the things that I do personally for people, and I'm not the only one who does it, also Denise and Sharon, who run the Senior Center, but we deal with people who are interested in signing up for Medicare and supplemental programs or an Advantage plan. We help with Part D coverage or senior care. We help in communicating any issues that they might have with insurers or if they have prescription issues. Sometimes we help them apply for special programs as they are, available to people who have lower incomes. These programs might be prescription assistance or extra help for Medicare. I think most of our members are not aware of all of the services that they might have available to them, and we try to fill that gap for them. In the county, there is no one-stop shop for social services, and which in my mind is unfortunate because people may be eligible for a variety of programs and they're all based on different income levels. So we help clear that up for them so that they understand what services they may take advantage of. But they often go one place to apply for heating assistance and another place to get Title 19 help or other kinds of programs. And it's confusing to the seniors. It is also confusing to their relatives, their sons and their daughters, who often come with them to the senior center to get some help and get some things resolved. Probably the most important role that the senior center fulfills, however, is that feeling of being a part of a community.
I'm sorry. Turn my microphone off. You got 30 seconds left.
Okay.
So if you could.
They feel a part of the community and they feel welcome and included. And that's very, very important. They might sit and listen to a movie, they might crochet, but they come to the senior center to do all of these things. Fragmenting the services is not the answer because they want to come to a single place to get crafting, computers, billiards, and lunch, and all kinds of other things. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you listening.
Thank you for your comments. Next up would be Cookie Burgert. Burgert? Sorry.
Hi, Mayor and council members. I'm Margaret Burgert, and my husband Blake and I have lived at 1545 South 90. We've lived at 1545 South 94th Place for 30 years. We started going to Senior Center 2 years ago for the free yoga program that was taught by Susie Malott volunteeringly. We knew her through the Park and Rec. Her enthusiasm for the health and the wellness of the seniors was really contagious. And although we didn't feel like seniors, we quickly came to see and feel the value of the center. Others have spoken here now about the importance of the services that it provides, and I agree and second, fragmenting them into multiple locations will destroy the vital sense of community that is so important here to the health and the quality of life. The fact that our country is suffering from an epidemic of loneliness has been covered very well in an article in our magazine. The studies made by the Stanford and Harvard University said that the impact of people living in social isolation adds almost $7 billion to Medicare each year. So everyone pays when people are left isolated. And to that end, I'm going to say that I spoke to Mr. Lysick and Mr. Kapowski today, and they told me that this is strictly a budgeting issue, that the senior center being, broken apart would be because the budget can't support it. And as so many of us here, I understand budget struggles, and whether they're personal or whether they're on a large scale, they come down to one thing. It's what you value, and what you value, you're willing to pay for. And I feel that there's great value in having a senior center because I see its value, and I have also committed to volunteering there. As a retired florist, I now do all the seasonal decorating in the building, and I teach wreath-making class that continues to grow in popularity and enjoyment. I see what these people get out of being there, and it's so hard to explain how important it is. But I do this for the fun, for seeing the seniors be successful at a craft. I do this through things I find at the dollar store and stuff that people donated. I scrounge supplies. So I know from experiencing my parents aging that a friendly, safe, supportive environment can take some of the sting out of the inevitable challenges of aging that an aging body and brain brings. Like Carol said, there isn't much time left. The final decades of life hold the majority of the losses, and you lose a lot of things from family members and loved ones and home and independence. These things can't be helped, but the loss of not being valued as a citizen can be helped, because you as council members can make these seniors feel valued and continue to support the senior center. Let the seniors, feel that support for the community is there, and that their lifelong paying of taxes and contributing to this community is going to be rewarded at the end when they need it the most. I feel very strongly that it's important to court the future and to commit to the millennials and their luxury apartments, but it's equally important because although it is smart to embrace the future, it is very wise and compassionate. A community that does that honors and aids their seniors, so please be respectful of them and value them and show them that you do by putting your money where their mouth is.
Thank you. Next up, we have Shirley Cogan. Thank you, Ms. Cogan. Next up, we have Dan Gabler.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Common Council, my name is Judge Dan Gabler. I reside in Bayside, Wisconsin. I've been in Milwaukee County for over 30 years, and I want to report to the Common Council that as a Milwaukee County judge, your West Dallas police officers come into my court on a regular basis, prepared and professional to address matters as drunk driving, drugged driving, reckless driving, and you should be proud of those officers that are dedicated. The other thing that I want to bring up is that as I operate my court, I try to not waste people's time, including police officers' time. I know that oftentimes the West Dallas officers are in my court and they're on overtime. I'm very conscious about that fact and how that has an adverse impact on taxpayers as a whole. So I'm doing what I can to make West Dallas a better place to live and raise our families. And if you want to know more about what I'm doing, you can go to my website, judgeDanGabler.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Then can you, the balance of my time, I can either sing or sit down.
We'll take the latter. Next up, we have Ron Mandolin, like the instrument.
Thank you, Mayor and the Corporation or Council. I reside at 1564 South 76th Street. I'm a member of the Senior Center. The Senior Center is a gem. It absolutely is a gem. It's just, it's one of my favorite things about West Dallas. I believe West Dallas cares about its people. With the Senior Center, instead of thinking of cutting back on it, I think we should be expanding the Senior Center. The demographics of the aging is getting larger. We're going to need that. You got your budget out for 10 years. 10 years from now, we're going to have a lot more people retired. A lot more people are going to be needing this center. And even thinking of cutting back on it right now and scaring all these people or into closing it is wrong. If you care about West Dallas, care about your own futures. We're all going to get old. And I think we should take care of our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Kevin Kelly. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Next up is Patricia Wickenhauser.
I'm Patricia Wickenhauser. I live at 12017 West Hayes Avenue in West Allis. A lot of my comments have already been said, but I just wanted to say that I've been on the Commission on Aging for, I think, 15 years. I can never remember. And during that time, I've been the chairperson for 6 years. And we have a very active and supportive group of commissioners out there. We meet regularly. We have lively and productive discussions. And I was very disappointed that we were not included in this resolution, at least even know about it. We didn't even know it was, well, I didn't know. Of course, I was in Texas, but what do I know? Anyway, we want to be part of the discussion. We want to be part of the decisions. So as you move forward, please keep us involved, because we are very involved and we're all volunteers. And we know that the senior center is very important, and whether, I mean, we're not against change, but it should be change for the better, and should be change not to save dollars, but change to help the people and to support our older generation. And I think that's why West Allis should support the senior citizens. So, thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. Next up, I have Yolanda Romero. Not here. Okay, we'll continue on then. Colleen Hungelman? And I'm going to apologize in advance for butchering any names.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Colleen Hungelman, and I just recently moved out of 1450 South 74th, and now on Highway 100 in Oklahoma. I just found out from the news today there was this meeting, so I come running down. I've been a hospice volunteer for many years in West Dallas. I grew up in one house on 74th in West Dallas, took cookies and everything to the police department, firemen, took care of our neighbors, and society has changed drastically, and it's very saddening. When I heard about the senior center, it broke my heart. I'm not a member, but I go there quite often, and I've brought people that were in my hospice care over to the senior center, and every time I've been there, including to do taxes, it's just been like a family to me. You see the cheers, the people, the love, you just feel the atmosphere. It fulfills all these people's lives. It really makes a difference. I've dealt with a lot of depression with all the seniors that I have worked in, and now I'm in my 60s, so, you know, it's time for me too. But when I look back, society's changed so much that the coming up generations are more techie in their telephones and, you know, Facebook instead of one-on-one contact. But the generations that are using the senior center come up from a different world. And I reflect back on old days myself all the time. And contact with people and family and community is so important that when you walk in, you just feel it. And to break up that love that they have for each other and all that they give to these seniors that so many people don't know. When I first found out, I went and spread the word around how much it did offer people, and I got involved. And then my older sister, I got her in silver sneakers and all these things. So it's more than anybody really realizes it unless you have been affected by it. But the way the depression is going, and with all these elderly people getting older and needing each other, I think the senior center is very, very important. And there's so many senior living facilities right around the area, and transportation's another thing that is really bad for a lot of people. If it's too far away, they're not going to break themselves up to go to different neighborhoods. They break that bonding. They're in these routines, and they mourn that, and it sets off more depression. So there's, you know, the money, I don't know anything about the money situation in the building, but I would think that there'd be some ways of finding fundraisers or something that would actually help if it comes down to that, because we're talking about people and not money. And this whole world is turning into from sports to anything. It's money and politics and greed, and everybody's forgetting the human contact with each other and what you really need from someone. And this really gives everybody what they need, and I would appreciate you really think about breaking up that community. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Next up, we have Charlie Chapito.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Charles Chapita, but they call me Charlie at the Senior Center and where I live. I'm going to have a hard time right now with all these people, what they said already is my thoughts. I mean, you know, I can't go any further because they've said it all. The people at the Senior Center are very lovable people. Believe me, I haven't seen one person that's a member there that I wouldn't call a wonderful person, really. And and one thing I've been there about almost 5 years. I volunteer with my daughter. We do the exercise class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I have to say this about the exercise class. Since I started with my daughter, the exercise class is bigger and bigger. And if it gets any bigger, we're going to have a bigger room for it. No, really. You guys know how many people we have there exercising. But that's about all I have to say, really, because I vented all my thoughts on channel ABC this afternoon's broadcast there, the news. And I don't know, I said everything there, and I hate to repeat myself, but I got to say that Senior Center is needed. It's needed, believe me. It's needed. The people that come in there, wheelchairs, canes, and all kinds of contraptions, you know, they're coming in. I mean, where are these people going to go to have any communication with people if they don't come to the Senior Center? I mean, you know, hey, you know, one of these days, all you gentlemen and lady might get to the same age that I am, hopefully, but if you do, you will know what we're talking about. You know, I mean, just one of those things. And I thank you for your attention, and I love the Senior Center. I have to love it because I came from Florida for 25 years. This is my 5th year here, and I'm at the Senior Center. So I had to give up something for it, yeah.
Thank you. Next up, we have Neil and Joan Tomkowiak. No? Okay, thank you. Linda Gatton?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there's a couple of you that have heard from me today, and I have expressed my horror at the thought of the Senior Center closing. When I looked online and saw that the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District, Recreation Department, West Allis Public Library, more than 15 senior living facilities also provide services to West Allis seniors, they do not provide the services that our West Allis Senior Center provides. I have been a volunteer at the West Allis Senior Center, and I hope you won't laugh, but I was a volunteer there when I was in my 30s and my 40s, and I loved it. I loved every single person that I met there. And I also want you to know that even though I was not at that point considered a senior citizen, I utilized the resources of the West Dallas Senior Center more than I can tell you. When I needed to place my mother in a nursing home, it was the West Dallas Senior Center that I went to and that was able to give me the resources I needed to transfer my mother out of an abusive home and into a good one. When my mother became a widow, I saw the depression that she went through. She was a volunteer at the Wilson Park Senior Center. I can't emphasize to you enough the loneliness of someone who suddenly becomes a widow or a widower and has no idea where they can go for companionship. Well, let me tell you, they can find it at the West Dallas Senior Center. My mother volunteered in the kitchen at her senior center, and I also saw this at the West Dallas Senior Center when I volunteered there. The meal program there, that was for many people the only meal that they had for the day, and in many cases, the only hot meal that they had. Another thing I noticed today when I came into this room, these gentlemen behind me with their proud veterans hats on. Today is the 75th anniversary of what is known as Iwo Jima D-Day. All of the people here who are veterans, who have served our country, these are the people that are utilizing the services at the West Dallas Senior Center. For whatever reason, they need those services. And there is nothing worse for a senior than loneliness, and I have seen it. My mother was in a nursing home. My mother-in-law was in a nursing home. I saw what happened when my father died and when my father-in-law died. I saw what happened to my mother and to my mother-in-law. And what I saw happen to them in their homes and in their minds and physically is what I also observed at the West Dallas Senior Center, the utter joy of finally being able to say, I belong. And I would also like to say that just on my street alone, I live at 2469 South 80th Street. My husband and I have been residents here for 41 years, and we have been block watch captains for, I believe, approximately 25. The West Dallas Senior Center saved 3 lives, literally, on my block, because I noticed that there were 2 houses where I knew seniors lived, and I saw that all of a sudden their grass wasn't being cut, their mail wasn't being picked up. What did I do? I knew I could call the West Dallas Senior Center, and I called Denise Koenig, and I said, this is what I'm observing, and I don't know who to go to for help. She said, let me help you. And 3 lives literally were saved on my block. A man with Alzheimer's, a woman with Alzheimer's, and the man with Alzheimer's had a son who had developmental disabilities. If someone hadn't intervened, their bodies would have been found in their house. But their bodies were not found in their house. They were taken out alive and gotten the help that they needed because of the information.
I'm sorry, you got 30 seconds left.
Because of the information that I received as a block watch captain from the West Dallas Senior Center. I've gone through my mother and my mother-in-law being in a nursing home, and unfortunately that's why I had to stop being a volunteer. But let me tell you, now that unfortunately they have both passed, it's going to be my honor and my pleasure to be able to join the volunteer staff then again. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for your comments. So we are just a little bit over our 30 minutes for this portion of our meeting. I do have one more speaker signed up, and it's, I don't have a first name, but the last name is Villanueva. Okay, thank you. So just for perspective, can everyone here who is in the audience this evening in regards to the senior center, please put your hands up? And can everybody who wants the senior center closed, please keep your hand up? Loud and clear, folks. I will allow a few more speakers if there's no objections. of a few minutes. I think we've heard about the inclusiveness and the belonging and the services and the programs. If there's anything that someone in the audience feels that they need to add to the discussion, I would welcome them up to the microphone at this point.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your service.
Could we have your name and
veterans.
address, please? Sorry.
Peggy Whitman, 700 South 56th Street. I had sent my husband up for the senior center, and unfortunately, he never went because he don't like going to places like that. I was also trying to sign up my mother for it. I was trying to convince her to go because she was always home alone until we moved in with her. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us, so I don't have to worry about that. But when I went there to sign my husband up, I was received so welcomely by the people there and helped so much getting my husband signed up. I don't think that the senior center should be closed or have their services dispersed. One thing that I think we forget, the United States is supposed to be about taking care of our elderly. This is our elderly community. Unfortunately, we have a lot of baby boomers going to be coming up, and they're going to need services as well. And I think the senior center is a great place for anybody that is a senior to get help, whether it be medical, taxes, just companionship, activity, friendship. I think this is a great place that should stay in place. And I do understand budget-wise, but we need to find a place and the money to try and keep it open. Fundraisers, there's a lot of companies out there that offer their services to fix stuff for free. If we could find something like that. They donate their time and their materials. Maybe we could find somebody who would be willing to fix what needs to be fixed, and it wouldn't cost anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is David Bora. I live in 72nd and National, just behind the center, and I have just a couple questions. Why the center is going to be or want to be closed down? I hear about there's some repairs that need to be done. It's over $2 million for the center. And I am the trade and building construction, and I know for a fact that build it not cost more than $150 for a square foot. That building is $6,500 roughly, and making a new building in that condition is about $1,300,000. So I don't know why it's going to be so expensive to the point the repairs in that building to shut it down or turn it off. If the building is going to be erased, what is the city planning to do with that? Is another complex, another bar, or another restaurant? Because I'm a small business owner, and I know that those big companies the city hiring for do all the constructions and repairs, normally hire people like me for half of the price to do the job. So I think the city should be more open to hire a small business that we are here in town, that we don't get nothing for the city other than pay the taxes for. And if you guys open that, open bids for small contractors coming and do the repairs or construction like that, the city is gonna save a lot of money. They can benefit those folks. This is the place when I'm gonna be probably 5 or 6 years when I reach the 55 age to be a senior. So that's just the only I wanna say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Teagues?
Thank you for one quick comment. One of the things that was identified in the press release as well as some of the other documentation is identifies that there's 360 members to the senior center. I wanted to clarify that is only a fraction of the amount of people that actually visit the facility. On an average day, or average week, excuse me, there's 300 to 350 visitors to the center, to the senior center. multiply that by 50, that means we get about 150,000 to 175,000 visitors to the senior center every year. That does not include the meal program. You had the meal program in that, I'm sure we're well over 200,000 people that are visiting the senior center. So I want to be able to put this in perspective to you that 360 is just a drop in the bucket. Okay. Also, we have quite a few testimonials for the committee that wants to take a look at them.
Okay. Thanks very much. All right, if there's nothing else, then that will conclude our citizen participation. Oh, come on up. Go ahead, sure.
Hi, my name is Chris Pasiga, and I live at 2038 South 73rd Street, and I'm also the marketing director at Library Square Retirement Community. And we've worked with the senior center. I've been there now 24 years. And in that time, we've offered free programs to the senior center. I also, being a marketing director, of course, I try to recruit the seniors to come live at Library Square, which I would love to have them come there because we have activities and meals. But the reality is, in the 24 years that I have been with Library Square, we get maybe 1 every 3 years move-ins from the senior center. And the reality is that our prices aren't affordable for many of these people that go to the senior center. And taking them to go to other retirement communities, the only thing they can probably afford is subsidized housing, which doesn't offer any services. So they're back at square one. So I just want to say, I'm just taking a quick laugh, I'm in favor of keeping the senior center here. They do a wonderful job. These people need the senior center, and we need the senior center. I have seniors here right now from Library Square that not only live in a retirement community where they have fun, but they also go to the senior center because they have the friendship of all these people. So that's it. So thank you.
Thanks very much. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and sharing their opinions with us. Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you 5 minutes.
It's in trouble now. Hi. The best for last.
Bring it home.
My name is Sherry Gross. I'm at 103rd and Bungalow Parkway. That's a secret place in West Dallas we don't tell anybody about. But I keep hearing about the money. And I look around West Dallas and I watch the growth. I drove down 68th the other day, and where there used to be that place where the Survive Alive house there, now they're expanding. I don't even know what's going on over there, but there's a whole bunch of building going on over there to expand the rec center for the littles, for the youngies. All the apartments that are going up, all the buildings that are being built in West Dallas. I really find it shameful that they can't find a few bucks for the senior center. You talk about everybody in all the divisions have to cut 3 to 5%. They got to come up with a budget cut of 3 to 5%. You know what? Let everybody else come up with 0.5% more and leave the senior center. Put the money towards the senior center. We need this. We deserved it. I waited my life to be a part of the senior center. I have lived in West Dallas since 1965. Still own the same house that my folks bought in '65. I've been here a long time. These people have been here a long time. We've paid taxes to keep the senior center all these years, and now they want to take it out from underneath us. You can't disperse the services. You got to run here for the meal and here for the stock box, here for the crocheting, over there for knitting. We can't do that. We want all of our stuff in one place. We like it the way it is. Please, please leave it. Find cuts other places. Cut other places. Our seniors need this, and we deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my applause warning didn't go over very well, but thank you all for coming, seriously, and thank you for, I wish we could get this many people at our meetings every Tuesday, Wednesday we have them, but it just doesn't happen, but I am... We try. So that will conclude citizen participation this evening. Thanks again for coming out and participating in your government. Appreciate it.
Nothing else, we had a good crowd.
Yep.
I am just going to
We are going to.
announce our standing committees. They will be meeting during recess, and those room numbers are listed on page 2 of your agendas.
No.
We're still in session, ma'am.
The members of the Licensing Health Committee. Okay.
Moving on to item G, mayor's report. Pretty pointless right now, so I'm not going to do a mayor's report this evening. Are there any alderpersons' reports this evening? Ladies and gentlemen, we are still conducting business. If we could keep the conversations down.
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Haas.
Mayor Devine, we've heard from a lot of people here in support of the senior center. I would like to recognize 2 persons who are here in support
Give it to someone on
of
the end, please.
Senior center. My mom and my dad. Mayor Carol Haas. There we go.
Do we have any other alderpersons' reports this
Mayor
evening?
Devine.
Alderman May.
I would like to thank Alderman Lysick and members of the Senior Center for chatting with us this afternoon about a number of issues that they had with the resolution. And it has led to a number of changes in that resolution. It sounded like it was favorably received by the member of the Commission on Aging who spoke up, which was very good. So at any rate, we'll take that up at License and Health. Thank you.
Any other alderpersons' reports?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of February 4th, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Are there any changes to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes are approved. I'll ask for a motion to place item 6 on file and refer items 7 through 9 to the city attorney.
So moved. Second.
There is a motion and a second by Alderman May and Barzak, respectively. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We have no standing committee reports this evening.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.